Hey, everybody, welcome to Massive Iron Live. I'm Steve Shaw. It is Friday, July 9th, and glad to be here. Glad you guys are here. Let's see if YouTube notifies anybody. Appreciate you guys joining me. Chime in, let me know where you're from, what's going on, what you're lifting today, what you're up to today. I'm just checking to make sure this is on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, or you're on, what else I got? Twitch? Yeah, I'm on Twitch as well. If you're on Facebook or Twitch, don't hesitate to drop a comment in, and don't be shy. If you guys are new here, make sure to drop a comment in as well. Don't be shy. No question is a bad question. We just got lint on the shirt, and it's really annoying. No question is a bad question, so don't feel like you can't answer something because it's been asked 1,000 times before. Before I get into things, guys, I do this every Friday, every Freitag at 11 Eastern. So I welcome you guys to please come join me every Friday. And if you post up a question and I don't see it or I seem to miss it, it is not me avoiding you. YouTube can sometimes be funny. If your question's too long or your comment's too long, YouTube can sometimes clip it off. And sometimes YouTube just doesn't like certain people. So YouTube is slow notifying people today. We got 9 viewers. It takes a while. YouTube will generally take a while to notify. Before we hop into the questions, got to show you some things. I've been trying to dive into the collecting world of some classic magazines. I like to study what the old lifters used to do because it can give us some perspective on, hey, how were they getting results? What were they eating? How were they training? And sometimes you can find some pretty cool exercises as well that have become lost over the ages. So this is my latest find. Let's see if you can see it here. This is Iron Man 50th anniversary issue. It is from September 1986, and it's pretty cool. Cost me about $20 to find on eBay, which really isn't bad, compared to for the shape it's in. But you can see some of the old school print. Looks like it was typed up by a typewriter. So this was a pretty cool find. And, there's some interesting stuff in the back of these old magazines. What I find interesting are some of the old advertisements, for supplements and magic potions and pills and pieces of equipment, etc. Some of the old, YouTube just notified me I'm live. So I got that. And what else do I got here in the secret bag of tricks in my office? Let's see here. I got a couple more goodies before we chime in. This is Mr. America. This is from July. When is this from? This is super ancient, and this is like super mint condition. I got this off eBay, and I haven't even opened it yet. I just literally peeled this tape up right now. I forgot what year it's from, but you can see super old school Mr. America. And I got one more goodie before I dive into things here. This is a really cool find. This is, hold on, Iron Man magazine, 1979. Not one issue, but every issue from 1979. Every issue from 1979. Somebody was selling this on eBay for like $48. I'm like, I think an early Christmas present for me. So, all right, guys, let's dive in. What do we got here? 3 days grace. Just wanted to say thank you for doing these. Thank you, 3 days. Thank you. I posted thank you on here, and it posted it from YouTube and from Twitch, so that's kind of interesting. I appreciate you guys joining me. Stein, you're not first in today. What is going on? What's going on in Norway, Stein? Hope everything is well. How do you know if you're building muscle? That's a good question. You have to have a little bit of faith at some point. The best 2 indicators as far as building muscle are you in a slight calorie, are you slowly gaining weight, a pound to a pound and a half a month? You want to kind of have that in place. That's a good thing to have in place to, have that faith that you're building muscle and you're on a proper program. Your program has a progression approach, you're following the program, etc. It can be very frustrating. I had a client this week who seemed like they're a little bit frustrated, with the process. But I'm like, trying to focus people on the long run. Stay in the tube, stay in the tunnel, stay in the lean bulk, stay with the progression approach. You do that over a long period of time and you're going to see some changes. I have a client, Tomas, who has been with me for about a year, and he has gained about an inch on his arms in 10 months. And his arms we're trying to get him to 17, I believe, or 16 and a half. But he's made some really good improvements. But early on the process, we're taking measurements week in and week out. You don't see much progress. And then you wake up 8 months down the road and you see progress. So there has to be some weight gain. There has to be a consistent training. There has to be, you have to really work on strength. Tomas has really improved his strength levels. That has to be in the mix. And we're not talking about going from a 25-pound dumbbell row to a 50-pound dumbbell row. We're talking about getting that sucker strong. So that has to be in the mix. You have to really want the strength and really go after the strength. And some of this is just mental. It's not just physical. I see guys doing dumbbell rows or seated overhead presses with weights. Sorry, adjusting my camera there to see if it helps. And I know they can do more. I know if they were in the gym with me right now, I'd say lift up that dumbbell and do 10 reps. And they could do more than they're doing now. So some of it is just, mental. You got to attack that weight safely. All right, Sinan, if you have low testosterone, can you handle less volume? Well, anybody can handle less volume. So I think what you're trying to say is if you have low testosterone, should you do less volume? No, not at all. Women have much lower testosterone levels than men, and they need to crush the volume. They need to crush lifting just like everybody else. So I had very low testosterone. I had it checked in the midst of my crappy eating times, and it was about 178 at one point and 222 at one point. So, do you need lower volume? No. What you need to focus on, everybody needs to focus on. We need to stop thinking about all this periphery stuff. And what you need to focus on is making your sets count and then adding volume when it makes sense. So don't worry about all this periphery stuff. If my sleep's not optimal, my hormones not optimal. Focus on what you can control. Paul, greetings from Vancouver. Hey, Paul, thanks for tuning in. And Robert, can you build muscle or strength in a slight deficit? It's like trying to push a boulder uphill. I posted on Instagram last night, focus on what you can control. Can you build muscle or strength in a slight deficit? Well, sometimes you can build strength in a slight deficit. Here's the thing, if you're super weak or super small, then in a deficit, you might be able to build some muscle or strength. But if you're not super weak or super small and you already have muscle and strength, then it's going to be really hard to build it, okay? So the thing I remind people of, if you're in a cut, it's a short-term thing. You shouldn't be worried about building muscle and strength in a cut. If you're super obese and you have a long way to go on your cut and you're worried about building muscle and strength, then, I got to say, you got to worry about saving your life. Go in there and train. You might build some muscle, some strength. But honestly, Robert, this question, it's like, can you land on your head after jumping out of an airplane? I don't fucking know. I mean, why are we focusing on this? Why? You got to focus on the cut, getting the cut over with. If you're trying to lean out and build muscle, like if you're a beginner and you're trying to lean out and build muscle and strength at the same time, just focus on what you can control. Get the cut done. Get the cut over with, and then the cut shouldn't be taken forever unless somebody's messing off. So get it over with and get back to the muscle and strength building process. If someone wants to do 4 to 6 weeks mini cut, how much would you lower calories? It really depends, Stein. If you're doing 4 to 6 weeks mini cut, you should have if you're going to be cutting calories, you should pretty much know what your maintenance level is right now. And from your maintenance level, I would probably start 300 to 400 under for a week. If you don't see a drop in water weight, then you'd probably drop it a little bit more. Do you believe in speed work? No, I don't. And somebody's going to be triggered, but let me explain. Like, I live in a world where I'm trying to help the average individual build muscle and strength. And the average individual has all this stuff going on in the background, right? All these things going on in the background of their distractions, deficit deadlifts and speed pulls and, arguments about which training split is optimal and all this kind of stuff. And look, speed work might be useful once you are at a more advanced level, but for the average individual, it's not worth your time in the gym. You have a limited amount of time in the gym. The average individual is trying to get his deadlift up to 500, his squat to 400, his bench to 300, and there's simply not time for speed work in that mix. You need to focus on the basics. You need to use the time you have to refine the basics and to optimize your programming. Andreas, hi from Austria. Thanks for joining. Robert, read that you need to have muscle first before training for strength. Don't overthink this stuff, Robert. Don't overthink this stuff. This is muscle and strength training are the same thing. They're the same thing. They're absolutely the same thing. They're not separate. You don't build muscle and then build strength or you whatever. They're the same process. The only difference is when you start lifting, you have a little bit of neuromuscular adaptation, which means you'll get stronger as your central nervous system gets less, more used to the lifting, and you don't feel all shaky and that sort of thing. But that's a very limited period of time. If you do a very technical lift, you can gain strength without gaining a lot of muscle. Like if you're getting into squats and deadlifts and you're trying to learn how to master form or improve form, you can see strength increases as you're working on form without muscle increases. But beyond that, strength and muscle are the same process, so don't overcomplicate things. Hey, Jeremy from Columbus, Ohio, about an hour and 15 minutes north of me. Thoughts on running Hepburn's 5x1, 5x5 Monday through Thursday curl bench? It's been a while since I looked at it. I did a Hepburn variation. Let me see if I can find it. Hepburn has a few programs, and honestly, it's been probably 7 or 8 years since I looked at it. But let me see if I can find my variation here. Hepburn power and pump variation. All right, so I'm going to share this. This is at tigerfitness.com. This is probably the last time that I've looked at the Hepburn programs. So this is from July 18th, 2018. This is what I wrote. And it's just basically a take on the Hepburn program. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you have a power and pump, a little bit more modernized with leg press and dumbbell rows and that sort of thing. Pretty good program, reasonable volume, a lot of compound focus, a decent program. Running Hepburn 5x1, 5x5. Really, Jeremy, and I have to look at your strength levels, your form levels. When you're running a compound-centric program, I want to make sure that your form is good, that you're getting something out of it. Any program is okay. Hepburn's is a little bit more minimal. I know when we look back at Doug, we kind of, sexify his programming because who he is, but I don't know. In the modern landscape, do I feel it's probably optimal? No. Is it good? Yeah. Are there better ways to do things? Yeah, I believe so. The thing I posted on Instagram before I came on is that if you're not working hard and not being consistent, then training splits don't work. If you are working hard and you are being consistent, then training splits really don't matter. They don't matter either way. If you're not being consistent and not working hard, then training splits don't matter. If you are being consistent and are training hard, training splits don't matter. So you can absolutely try this program. Do I believe it's probably the best way to train for the average individual? No. Have I trained like this myself? Yes. Is it worth the experience? Absolutely. So I'm not trying to dissuade you from doing it. Go do it. Go have fun. See what you can learn. And don't hesitate to don't hesitate to evolve the program. Because at some point, Doug Hepburn took his program and he created a new one. You know, he evolved his programming. So you go out there and you be the next Doug Hepburn, and you try this and you change it to fit your needs. Where's your gym located? I don't have a gym, but I live in Ohio. I have a personal gym behind here. Checking in from Mongolia. What's going on, Bree? Bree is a client of mine. Derek, I caved and bought the AB template. Will be a great motivator not to routine hop. I appreciate that purchase, Derek. We put a lot of effort into the AB templates, and if anybody's wondering what we're talking about, I made a video about them yesterday. Renaissance periodization, or Mike Israetel, I noticed over on his site that he had training templates that were spreadsheets. So what I wanted to do was take my programs and put them into spreadsheet templates. So if you go over to my website, superlivingtoday.com, there's a template section. And what these things are they're spreadsheets where you can put in your numbers and your weight, and they're completely flexible. You can pick your own exercises. So we have a 5x5, a push-pull legs, 4-day power muscle. I put burn, that should be block, sorry. And the massive iron AB training template. So if you're interested, check those out. But they're good tools. We put a lot of work into them. They're not cheap. I have a lot of workouts on the site for $9.99, but because of the amount of time and resources we put into these things, you know, they're a little bit more on the pricey end for the products that I offer, but they're something you can use forever. I mean, they're a nice tool. And we're working on some other things as well right now, generic push-pull legs, generic, body part splits, that sort of thing. So you can completely build a workout from the ground up. Shub, greetings. What's going on, Shub? And Ben, one of my favorite people in the whole world, Ben from the UK. And Shub says rotate. Let me know when I can turn back, Shub. Richard, hi from Scotland. Richard, hope things are going well. Stephen, have you ever laughed? I think there's a video record of me laughing once on the site. Stephen, once on the site? I believe so. Isaiah Robinson, I went from 195 bench to 340 in about 8 months. Would I be considered a genetic freak? You, sir, would probably have pretty good genetics, but I would say there's a lot of people with good genetics out there that don't have a good work ethic and don't remain consistent with their training and their nutrition. So you were probably built for bench, but you also have the work ethic that would help you be successful in pretty much anything in life. So just keep up the good work. Paul, should I push each set to failure or just the last set? We don't push sets to failure in the massive iron world, Paul. We do not push sets to failure. Number one, the demands of every exercise are different. So to say I'm going to push every exercise to failure, we are lacking the fundamental understanding that each exercise is different. You can push a bench to failure, and it's not going to be as punishing as pushing squats or deadlifts to failure. Barbell row failure is pretty easy to achieve. Basically, you just lose speed. Same things for lat pull downs. But there are other exercises. If you train for failure on the Romanian deadlift, you might need a walker for a couple of days. So number one, we need to understand that we do not push sets to failure, and not the demands of every exercise are different. With that said, in the massive iron world, we we practice safe sets. We practice safe sets. We push every set for as many, the hard sets. You can do this with one set per exercise, or you can do this with every set per exercise. Just understand the demands. We push sets for as many quality reps as possible, stopping a set when we feel like our form is going to break down. Like if you do a squat rep and it's like spotty, you need to shut it down. Or when we feel like we might fail on the next rep. With that said, if you notice your speed slow down on a rep, you need to stop the set, because we are trying to not encourage injury. There's really no benefit in that last rep where you're failing, but there is benefit in taking a set for more reps and getting close to failure. That's really where the muscle building magic comes in. All right, let me get a drink here, guys. I'm sweating a little bit, starting to get hot. We got the Purple Monster today. And got a little agua just in case. So, Artur, heat stroke. Hello from Brazil. Just wanted to thank you for bringing back the real training and the truth. Thank you, sir. On a few months from now, I'll be telling you about my bench gains. Go get it, and I appreciate it. So before I hop into the next question, I got to tell you something that I'm really pissed at Disney Plus. I'm really pissed at Disney Plus. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but last night I turned on my Roku, and there was an advertisement for Black Widow, and it said, "Watch now." And then below it said the trailer, right? So I signed up for Disney Plus. The advertisement was super sketch. It was super sketch. It made it look like you could watch it right now. And so I signed up for Disney Plus because I'm like, yeah, for $7.99, we can watch Black Widow tonight. And the advertisement literally on the Roku made it look like watch now. And then below it said trailer, It said same day in theaters, watch now, Disney Plus. And I went over there and it's like, oh, it's tomorrow. You just signed up. Plus you have to pay $29.99. I'm like, I'm not paying $29.99 plus $7.99 for a movie that I can walk down the street and pay for $8.99. All right. That's my rant. Thoughts on rotating full body and upper lower every week. The first thing I'm going to ask, Breno, and this is not a dig on you, is why. There's no benefit to doing so. If you derive a benefit from convenience, like your schedule, great, but there's no benefit to doing that at all. Could I set up a program to do so? Yeah. Would it maybe be fun to rotate it? Yeah, if you find it fun or enjoyable to rotate, that's fine. I like programming. That's one reason to do it. Just know we have to set the table with the reality that there's no benefit, muscle building benefit to doing it. There can be some other benefits. You can change up your style of training every week, and that could be fun. The issue you get into, and this isn't too much of an issue with full body and upper lower, is that after your last upper lower workout in the scheme, you probably need a couple days off because you're doing a little bit more volume on that last upper lower day. And so I would probably do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, take Saturday, Sunday off from the upper lower, and then come back with a full body. So I wasn't trying to shit in your cornflakes, Breno. It can be done. I just want people to know there's no muscle building benefit, but there can be a benefit, if you enjoy it, or if you want to go from 3 to 4 days a week, you want to vary your training. Varying your training can be a good thing. It could be a good thing mentally. To do some different stuff every other week. I wouldn't rotate beyond every other week, but if I were doing it, the only caveat I would say is train Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or something like that, and take 2 days off. No matter what you do, take 2 days off after the upper lower workouts to get in a little recovery before you start the full body. All right, Ruck, hi from Poland. Thoughts on bench plus RDLs plus shrugs on day one. All right, we got bench, hammies, and shruggies on day 1. Squats, chins, and Yates row on day B. So we're doing ABA. So what we have is I also have my reps each time with biceps, triceps, and delts. I'd have to look. Delts seem like they are not really in the equation here. They're not. They seem like they're in the corner in the chair of shame. So first off, the ABA BAB split's okay. Bench is going to be worked 1.5 times a week, so that's okay. RDLs, hammies. Can this be run? Well, first off, Yates rows have to come before chins. Chins are an exercise where palms are forward. That works the bicep more. So I'm not sure if you mean pull-ups. But you got plenty of back work in there if you're doing pull-ups. Pull-ups, Yates rows, and, that's okay. No real strong shoulder work. I don't like the program, to be honest, Ruck. I mean, there's too many things I would have to change. If I'm going to do that, exercise variety is good for muscle building. So limited number of exercises per workout or per week, I don't like, simply because it's not efficient. Can it be done for muscle building? Yes. Is it efficient for muscle building? No. So I want to move things towards efficient. So if you're going to do a program like this, you're better off having an A, B, C, and D schedule, where you do A, B, C, D, A, B, that sort of thing. You rotate between the 4, and it's more like an A, B split with variations. So you might have bench, and then the next day incline dumbbell bench, shrugs, and then the next day leg press or lunge. You need some variation for muscle building. You simply do. Restrict a limited number of exercises, not optimal for muscle building. So all the myo rep stuff, that's a cursory tack on thing. That almost makes it look sexier. And there's certainly nothing wrong with myo reps. But do I like the program? No. I would definitely rework the program. Stuart, hi from England. Can we have an example of your back workout? What I do now, I'm getting back into more hardcore back workouts. What I do now, should I bring out the old Google Drive? Let me bring out the Google Drive. So hang tight. We'll actually build the document here, and I'll show you guys live if I can get this up. Hold on a second, guys. I'm just typing in Drive and Google Docs. All right, here we go. Let me do a little screen share. So this is my back workout. Let me get the font big enough so you guys can see it. So what I did at my biggest was I would start off with deadlifts, okay? And deadlifts would go like this. Bar by 10. 135 by 5, 225 by 3, 315 by 1, whoops, 405, whoops, 405 by 1, 455 by, what did I do there? Hold on. 455 by 1, 495 by 1, 545 by 1, and then working sets, which were typically, I would do a heavy set, like maybe, let's say 600 by 5, and then I would drop the weight, say 540 by max, and then I would drop the, 540 by max, and then I would drop the weight again, and I'd kind of do this on feel every day, based on what I felt like. So, but that's what I would do for deadlifts. And let me shrink that down so we can get more on here. That's deadlifts. So after I was done with deadlifts, you can see that's a lot of time in the gym. That's usually like 45 minutes. After that, I would do dumbbell rows or barbell rows, okay? So I'd alternate every other weekend or every other week. For dumbbell rows, I would typically do as a warm-up 100 by 5, and then maybe 150 by 3, And then they had the Ronnie Coleman dumbbells. When I'm not doing those, I would generally do anything from 200 to 250 by max reps. I got videos on this channel of like 200 by 22, things like that. So I would do one set of dumbbell rows. I would do left arm first because my left arm is the weakest, and I would do my right arm after. If I was doing barbell rows, let's make sure you guys can still see this. If I was doing barbell rows, I would do something like 4 by 6 to 8. Something with a little bit more volume. I would do a Pendley row variation. So that would be with the Pendley row, and I wouldn't need a lot of warm-ups. The Pendley row, we're close. All right. So now let me just boost that up for anybody that's, there we go. So after that was done, I would move on to lat pull downs and seated cable rows. So this is where things would kind of get a little bit, I would do what I felt like on any given day. A couple of notes. I've been training for 35 years. So both of these exercises are pretty much maxed out on the stack, right? I've leveled up as far as I'm going to level up. I really don't have any desire of, trying a lat pull 380 pounds and set a world record. So generally I would do 3 to 5 sets of 10 on each of these, depending on how I felt that day, depending on what my exercise was. I would do both. Sometimes, when I didn't feel like doing these, I would do T-bar rows or inverted rows. So there was a little bit of flexibility. But sometimes instead of lat pull downs and seated cable rows, I would do these. And because of my experience level, it didn't really matter much if I hadn't done them in a while. I could kind of hop on to do them. And after that, I would generally end with a machine row. Generally nothing spectacular. This would be like 3 by 10-ish. So that was my back workout at my strongest. And it's pretty much what I used every single day for a very long time. A lot of times what I would do on here as well, on deadlifts, a lot of times I would work in shrugs. So on my last rep of, say, 600 by 5, if I was feeling the bug in my ass, I would do a static hold, or I would do shrugs at the end. On like a back off set, sometimes I would do, in the 540 by max, I would deadlift, and then I would do shrugs, and then I would set the bar down. I'd deadlift, do more shrugs, set the bar down. So sometimes I'd get creative with shrugs. Sometimes if I didn't do them then I would do shruggies after machine rows, and then I would do bicep work. Sometimes I would do run the rack for dumbbell curls. Sometimes I would do 50 or 100 rep hammer curls. Arms were basically whatever I felt like it. Some of my favorite arm exercises were the reverse grip lat pull down. Let me back up a little bit, where you're focusing on curling the weight down rather than driving your elbow. And on the seated cable row station, I would take an easy bar, and what I would do would be I would row it towards my nose like I'm trying to punch myself in the face. If you do that, you can get a really good bicep contraction. So that was a long-winded answer, but I appreciate you guys tolerating that. Straight sets versus top set followed by back off sets. Doesn't matter. Both are really good. For those keeping score at home, straight sets are like 3 by 8 with 185 on bench, or top set and then back off sets. Both are a good way to train. As you get stronger, I think it's more beneficial to do a heavier set to lead the workout, and then to back off your sets a little bit and get your volume in without it being as punishing. So in my journey to feel or grow my upper right pec, I'm now benching to the collarbone. That's dangerous, Sebastian. That's super dangerous. That's not going to be good for the shoulders. You can do a guillotine press, but it has to stop a good 4, 5, 6 inches above that area. And you do not try to feel your muscles on compound movements. You focus on form. You have things a little bit backwards. Compound movements you have to trust the process and understand that even if you don't feel a muscle work on a compound movement, that's okay. 35 years of squatting, I don't feel my quads working on squats, but my quads are huge. So you have to understand that with the compound movement, the focus is on form and on getting them a lot stronger, not on feeling muscles. After the compounds are done, when you're on more forgiving exercises, then you can start to focus on feel, like a pec deck or a push-up or a dip. But you have things a little bit backwards, Sebastian. You got to get that bench big, okay? You got to get that bench big. If you have some kind of a discrepancy between your upper, left and right pec, you got to stick with the fundamentals. I found no way of evening out things to a noticeable degree. So just keep that in mind. Thank you for your answers. You're welcome. Glad to help. And keep the questions coming, guys. I lost where I was. There we are. Found out that I'm not stopping the reps to breathe because I'm out of breath, because I was literally waiting for the muscles to gain another rep. So you have to breathe before each effort. You have to exhale during the press, breathe in, brace, and then lower the weight, exhale during the press. Hello from Buffalo. Thoughts on eating less calories, carbs, playing hockey, and doing a full body workout 5 days a week? I want to be a fit 150. Well, just understand that being a fit 150 doesn't always mean training more. So if you want to do a full body more days a week, that's fine. Just know it's not a requirement to be fit. You can be fit on 3 good training days a week and then hockey, So that's fine. There's nothing wrong with doing it. Just know that it's not a requirement. Is sled work too extreme for active recovery? No, not really. The thing I don't like about explosive work is that it's too risky. And you might call me a fool. Someone that has been involved with powerlifting and has been involved with endurance running. And you might say, this chucklehead has lifted heavy weights and doing long runs, and he's telling me that speed or explosive work is too risky. And I stand by that for the average individual. I just don't find explosive work to be very beneficial. But mileage may vary. You got to do what feels good. If you're younger, you can get away with a lot of stuff. Sled work, just be real cautious. You don't want to tear a calf. You want to warm up properly. And you don't want to be doing, sprint style stuff over and over again. The problem I have with like sled work is, it's short term. There's not a lot of reps. It's all push explosive. It's not too extreme for active recovery. I just don't find it. You can commit. I just don't find it to be particularly great with all the other choices available. And Ben said, "Great answer, thanks, Ben." Oh, my wife's got something here. What do you got?
We
got Bubba sausage and we got a baseball plaque.
Oh, yeah.
So first we'll show Bubba Sauce, Mr. Sauce Boss. This is Commando.
Hello.
What's up, Saucy? This is my buddy pal. Every morning I take him out like this. He rests right here in my arms, and I walk him down the stairs. Look, we're all wearing green today. We're matchies. That day to be alive. So I take him out like this, and buddy pal likes watching hockey and baseball.
And snuggles.
Yeah.
And kisses.
Yeah, he does. So there you go. I'll give you him back.
And
we got let me get the buddy pal lickles off here.
I know.
So one of my passions in life is baseball, and we were supporting local baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio Power 14U is grateful for your support. That's my wife's business, So Threaded. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can hang that up.
And that came today.
Yeah, that came today. There you go.
Yes. I'm going to Joanne's.
You're going to do what?
The door open. Going to Joanne's.
Oh, okay. So you're going to leave the door open so I can get some air conditioning.
Yes. Okay, bye-bye.
Hey, before you go, Somebody asked if I ever laugh.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, because I say funny things all the time. That's why.
Right. What do I like on here? I have to go through a lot of questions and be more dry and just try to be respectful for everybody's questions and
serious.
Yeah, and but
you can't laugh at someone's question.
Like you have to be very structured when you do videos on your personality and your projection and stuff like that.
People think you're an all.
It's a public speaking thing. So, but like emotion wise, like what happens when I'm watching a baseball game?
It's really loud and the dogs go, and we all go.
We scare the dogs a little bit.
Peanut runs away.
Yeah,
She's like, is someone coming? Is something happening?
A little known fact, what's up right there on my wall?
He has a telly up there with a baseball game.
I got a huge television. I got the MLB network. So when I'm doing coaching, I literally have a ball game on in the background at all times.
And I hear it sometimes, and then I'll hear him get real excited, and I'm like, yeah.
So we did watch hockey this week. We watched the Stanley Cup Finals, the last two games, and we're trying to do a little bit of different things. So what did you think of that?
I like it. I like hockey. I find it more fast-paced. It's more exciting, more interesting.
Yeah.
Baseball is very slow.
Very slow. It's only for people with big brains.
I don't need a big brain.
All right. I'm getting back. I'm going to pay for that later. All right. What do we got? All right, Bubba Sauce. Robert, I've been lifting inconsistently for over a decade. Still have newbie type numbers. If I progressive overload and do it right, yep, you sure can, Robert. You absolutely can. And, just let me know if you need any help. Woodulus, greetings from Scotland. How's it going? Do you ever get a prickly feeling in your lungs after running? No. I think back in the day when I first started running, when I was a teen, my lungs would burn and I'd get shin splints, but I'm old and everything's calcified, so even my lungs, so I think I'm good. How many sets should I go with weighted stretching and eccentric exercises? Not sure what you're doing here. I don't do weighted stretching. That's nothing in my wheelhouse or area of specialty. I don't do eccentric exercises. I focus on power building, muscle and strength building. So I'd really have to see what you're doing to see if I could even comment intelligently. And I want to backtrack a little bit to this question. Just so I don't want to tell people not to do sled work. I've done it a couple of times, sled pushes and sled drags. But I try to get away from it. And look, it's not the most explosive thing in the world, right? But I just don't find like doing 10 reps of 40 meters to, be a lot. If I'm going to do some active recovery, I'm going to go do something a little bit, less explosive-y, less where I'm going to tear a calf or, whatever. Something a little bit more low-key, for active recovery. So that was kind of my point, and I hope that makes some sense. Anthony, I love program training. I'm the guy in the gym carrying around my notebook workout log, and I'm not sorry. Neither should you be. One of my favorite things to see is people that still log on the old notebooks. So with that said, I want to show you guys something, if you don't mind me giving you guys a commercial here. If you go to my website and you go to store and you go to books, there is a workout log. Okay. This has, let's see, that's what each page looks like. Okay. Up to 5 sets, workout notes, and there's 220 pages in there, room for 200 workouts and 20 pages of notes. So if you like carrying around a little spiral bound notebook and you want to support the big, hairy, ugly dude and Team Massive Iron, this is only $20 and it lasts you a year. All right. Oops. How do we stop sharing here? There we go. Why am I drastically stronger in both rep work and 1 rep max on 45-degree incline barbell bench? Attainable intensities, 100% on ICP. I don't know what ICP is. Minus 15% for decline, minus 35%. when this, oh, I don't know what we got going on here. It sounds like an algebra formula. Why am I stronger on rep work on, maybe because your shoulders and triceps are stronger? That could be, if you're weaker on decline, it's probably not your triceps. I don't know. I'd have to see. I'd have to look at videos and I'd have to look at numbers. PPLA is the goal to hit the muscle group every 5 days, or I got that wrong. I'm actually putting together a PPLA workout right now. It should be released this weekend, hopefully. So it's really not a goal every 5 days. It can be whatever. It can be 4 workouts a week, 5 or even 6. So it's not really the goal. The goal is just for guys that want a little bit of extra arm work, how do we do it and how do we work it into a push-pull legs, if that makes sense. How to progress on weighted chins. If you're at the point where you're doing weighted chins, then progression should be rather simple. First off, you don't want low rep sets because there's no value in that stuff. It's just ego lifting nonsense. It's not going to have a lot of value for the muscle and strength building process. So you want to stick with 8 or 10 or 12 reps per set, and you want to micro load. This is a problem I see with people on weighted chins and weighted dips. They get these big juicy testicles and they decide they're going to jump over to weighted whatever, and they slap 25s on right away. Like me, if you're training with me, you're going to put a 5-pounder on there and you're going to suck it up and you're going to feel like probably a pussy because you only put 5 pounds on, but we're going to do it right. We're going to let your tendons and ligaments and all connective tissue and everything strengthen. And when you can do 3 by 8, 10 or 12 on that, then we'll move up to 10 pounds. When you can do 3, 8 or 10 by that, then we'll move up to 15 pounds. So slow, steady progress and rep volume. You bet, Ruck. And we got somebody from Twitch. Hello, Mr. Barmano. Happy Friday. Thank you, sir. Brips, what's one of your favorite meals you eat? Oh, man. My favorite meal that I eat, healthy food, is a mix of black and white rice with eggs and a lot of salt and a lot of Frank's Red Hot. Super simple, protein, carbs, fats. Love the Frank's Red Hot. I might toss in a ton of raw onion or jalapeno or even spinach. But that's my favorite healthy meal. If you want me to have an unhealthy meal, it's going to be Marco's Pizza. Thin crust, both kinds of pepperoni, old school pepperoni and regular pepperoni, Italian sausage and steak with extra jalapenos. And I get buffalo sauce to dip it in. Tonight I'm having sushi. That's one of my favorites as well. Thoughts on fast lifts over warm up for late beginners? Never seen it. So sorry, Dave, but I've not looked at it. I asked Faz to be on the day. He had a client call, but maybe next time he comes on, we can ask him. Finish week with posterior workout. I find RDLs are mentally hard when controlling the weight on the way down, but it's an awesome exercise. RDLs are a harder exercise to master because they're a little bit more technical than people suspect. There's a little bit more nuance than people suspect. And it can feel like cardio. It's one of those exercises that when you're done with a set, you should feel like you just did a sprint. And standard for weighted chins. So I'm going to point you guys to a video. And let me just pull it up here. Faz and I did a strength standards about a month ago.
Let's go. Get that.
Sorry, we got some ads. Let me just turn that down. So I'm going to share the screen. There's an ad on here, so ignore the ad. We'll skip it. But Faz and I went through, it's called, let me scroll down here so you can see it. Strength Standards for Building Mass, a detailed guide for men and women. So what Faz and I did is we went through each of these lifts listed on the screen. For men and women, we talked about strength standards, and you can see it's got 11. I'll give myself an upvote. It's got 11 downvotes And somebody didn't like one of the strength standards that probably triggered them. But this is a really good video for everything. So without rehashing it or going into it, I would check out this video. Sign. When doing dumbbell rows, do you go right after one side is done or do you rest? I always rest because for me, dumbbell rows feel like cardio. There are a few exercises that when you're done, you need to sit down because you're seeing stars, or you're feeling fatigued. Dumbbell rows, RDLs, deadlifts, squats, that sort of thing. So I always rest. I don't rest as long as I would in between sets of like bench or squats, but I do make sure that my breathing is normalized because I don't want to enter a set with my heart rate still elevated. Please talk about the deadlift channel you posted on deadlift challenge you posted on Instagram. Sure thing. So let me go back to my channel. In working at Tiger Fitness and Muscle and Strength, one of my jobs was to, whenever a superstar would come in, would be to find creative content things we could do, right? So Chris Gethin was coming into town, and we were hanging out with Chris, and we're like, let's do a 100-rep deadlift challenge with 315 pounds. We had the power lifters versus the bodybuilders. We had Chris Gethin and Mark Lobliner, and we had me and my friend Robert. Robert's an experienced powerlifter, a powerlifter judge. He's a sheriff. He's like 6'4". He's a monster. And what we did was you could do any number of reps, but when you wanted to stop, you tagged out to your partner. So that's basically what we did. You know, there was no time limit, first team to 100 reps. So a couple interesting things about this, you know, that I don't generally talk about in the video because I don't want to sound like a whinging bitch, but Robert took too long, like in between to set up for his next set. So Robert slowed us down a little bit. And then Chris Gethin, you see, that's kind of spotty because we're using StreamYard for this. But watch Chris; he doesn't lock out any half reps. You know, he's not coming all the way up. So that gave him a speed advantage, and some of his reps were more spotty than others. Whereas, like the power lifters, and you can blame us for this, but we're used to coming all the way up and locking out a rep, so it's kind of ingrained in our head. You know, so. Would we have won if Gethin would have locked out reps? Probably not. You know, here's me, and we had to tag in. Robert forgot. Here's me. You know, you can see I reset after every rep because I'm trying to take care of my body. And the speed's still pretty much there. And let's see Gethin coming over. My mistake was I tried to do too many reps out of the gate. I had done, you know, I knew I could do like 20 reps. So I'm like, let me bust off 40, you know, right? So, but then you forget, yeah, you might have the strength, the muscle strength to do 40, but your heart rate is going to kill you. So we continued along. Things are going pretty well. And then let's see here. Let's see if we can notice like Robert taking forever to get set up. Or see, Robert's nowhere to be seen. He's sitting down. He's kind of lumbering over, a little bit spent. You know, I mean, this is one of the reasons why we lost. We lost by about 10 reps or something. But Robert's pulling up his shorts, strapping in. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Come on. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Come on, man. Get this shit over with. So, that's one of the challenges I did at Tiger Fitness, a fun one. One of the funnest things I've ever done was over at Muscle and Strength. I put together a 100-rep dumbbell challenge with Mike Rashid and Mark Lobliner. And this was back before, you know, back when these guys were still bigger stars and the video, you know, got millions. I've done videos with the Hodge twins. I developed an eating challenge video with the Hodge twins at Tiger Fitness, which is super fun. If you go over to the Tiger Fitness YouTube page and you search Hodge Twins Eating Channel, you'll see a pretty fun video. But we picked out all the torturous foods to get them to eat. Do you recommend a neutral grip or straight bar for chins? I like neutral grip a lot. Just make sure you're driving your elbows down to get your back involved, but I like neutral grip a lot. It really doesn't matter. There's some value in rotating grips, but I would say, you're in good shape doing both. So Mako says, "Go Bolts, back to back." Yep, Montreal in the last game, like we watched the last two games of the Cup, and when it was 3-0, Tampa Bay came out and they were putting a lot of shots on goal, and then Montreal had they kind of caught up to speed a little bit, and things evened up. The last game, though, I mean, Montreal just looked flat. They had some good moments, but overall, they just looked like they were going to lose. So go Rays, go Sabres. I used to have a Dominic Hasek jersey. If anybody knows who Dominic, I still probably do in my closet. I was a big Dominic Hasek fan. So from Twitch, dry, just like dry muscle. Indeed. Elbow cough. Thank you. Always cough in your elbow. Be a good citizen. Anthony Perez, speed work versus max effort work. Do you have a preference or both? I don't like either, really. I don't. I don't really like, is Louis Simmons' program good at creating monsters? Yes. Do I like that style of training? No. But understand, Anthony, my job is to get people up to the really strong mark. And after you get close to the advanced stage, you can do whatever you want. So Louis Simmons stuff is in the advanced stage. That's advanced lifters. So advanced lifters got to do what advanced lifters got to do to get strong. So when I say I don't really care for it, what I'm really saying is I don't really care for it for the average lifter. There's just better things to do in the gym to get your strength up. How to avoid shoulder discomfort or pain when working on chest? That's a little bit of a general question. Brips, I mean, first thing you got to do is look at form. Then you have to understand that you don't have, if you're getting shoulder pain, you don't have to bring the bar to your chest. You can hang it a few reps high. You can also do some exercise variations that aren't as shoulder intense, like dumbbell bends. So first thing I would look at is exercise form. Kent, Chucks, slippers, bear or squat shoes. Are slope shoes beneficial? If you go to Squat University on Instagram, there are some posts that talk about learning to squat with a shoe that doesn't have a tight toe box, or squatting barefoot so your toes can naturally spread. So when I'm squatting, I'd like for you to squat in a shoe where you don't have a tight toe box, where your foot can naturally spread. I always recommend starting flat-footed on both lifts to get your feet under you and get your form. There's no benefit to having heels on a deadlift. None. Can there be some benefit to having a slight heel on a squat? Yes, there can, depending on your limb lengths, etc. But barefoot, I don't like that idea, because if my feet are wet or slippery or sweaty, I don't like stepping back and having the chance that something's going to go whoop. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not a big fan of barefoot at all. Checking and listening while hitting an arm workout before the weekend. Thanks for tuning in, Nigel. I appreciate it. Last week I asked about knee pain. I think I was jumping rope that made my knees hurt. Well, you know what they say. If jumping rope makes your knees hurt, don't jump rope. I mean, the thing about knee pain is, a lot of times it can be knee pain, but a lot of times it can come from the hips. So just the pounding on your hips might be contributing to some knee pain. I would probably maybe find a different, less explosive form of cardio to work with. Are there any minimum age requirements to start training heavy? Training heavy involves progressive overload, and a progressive overload can pretty much be done at any age if you have spent some time working on improving your neuromuscular strength, and you get some familiar with the basic lifts. So when I was training my teen daughter from the age of 13, we did a lot of body weight stuff and very light dumbbell stuff for a year before we ever touched a barbell. Does doing heavy eccentric work for bench tax the CNS? No, nothing that you won't be able to recover from. It's going to bring a lot of soreness with it. I would say, Isaiah, you don't need to do it. What a lot of people don't do on their bench, you can get a lot out of your regular bench, eccentric wise, without needing to add in eccentric work. You can do eccentric work to train your central nervous system. But when you on your regular bench reps, focus on rowing the bar down to your chest. That will give you more control on your eccentrics, and it'll be less intense on your shoulders. And from there, if you want to do a couple of static holds, heavier, 10% above your max, or lower the stuff just to, kind of train your CNS a little bit, there's absolutely okay. It's very hard to overtax the CNS, the central nervous system, so I wouldn't worry about it much. Are those strength standards for reps or one rep max? I don't know. If you can do one rep with them, but you're good. It's a good question. I don't know. 315 benches if for one or reps. It's pretty much the same thing once you get up to that level. We're talking a couple of reps. So just get to those levels with approximately one rep, and you're good. Shout out from South Africa. Thank you for tuning in. Drop sets while losing weight. You don't need to do anything different while losing weight. When you are losing weight or in a cutting phase, it's probably a good idea to desensitize your body a little bit to training. So when you come back after the cut, you can attack progressive overload. So, don't overdo the volume, don't overdo the intensity techniques. If you want to burn calories while losing weight, do so with forms of cardio that involve maybe an incline, incline treadmill, Stairmaster, or even hiking. Something that can burn a little bit more calories without pounding your body. But don't use weights to try to burn calories. How often do you think I should do cardio as a newbie? Everybody should aim for an hour of some form of cardio a week. Just general movement. Swimming, biking, running, hiking, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Just try to get an hour a week for general health and for heart health. Does increasing your cardiovascular endurance through long distance running translate into lifting? Do you find things like high rep RDLs? The biggest benefit I find from long distance running is the mental benefit, because you do not want to go out and run 2 hours every day. You're talking to somebody that went out and ran 2 hours a day, 5 days a week for over 2 years. You do not want to do it. You don't. So I didn't really find any cardiovascular benefit, notable cardiovascular benefit. I'm sure there was some minor benefits, but the main benefit was just mental strength. I didn't find rows to be easier, because the thing is, like, at the level when you're super strong on rows or super strong on RDLs or super strong on squats, it's a whole different type of stimulus. Like, you put 500 pounds on your back and unrack it, your body is like in a whole different kind of stimulus. Your heart rate's going to elevate. So it's a different the body is very responsive to unique demands, right? So you can get really good at long distance running, but you put 500 pounds on your back and walk it out, and the body has to adapt to that as well. So not a lot of carryover. Thank you, Isaiah. I sincerely appreciate it, sir. Fiona, you are beautiful. That indeed she is. Guys, we got a last call for questions. We got about 5 in the queue. I'll stay on as long as you guys have questions. So if you have any more questions, post them up now. Get them in. If not, I'm going to jump ship. Let's see. Sega Son said, Robert, what the fuck? And then did a laughing thing. All right, do you think rugby players are natty? I was looking at Rohan Hans von Rensburg, and he looked massive. Oh, I don't know, man. I haven't looked at rugby players in a while. Let me see if I can pull something up here. Hold on. Let me see. There we go. I lost my window. What's his name? Rohan. I'll let you guys chime in. How about that? We'll look at Rohan Hans von Rensburg. That dude's so jacked. He has 4 names. All right, Rohan. Let's see. Dude looks like he eats fucking. Okay, let's see. He has a weird physique. There's Rohan von Zwangenberg. There's a different pictures of his physique. I don't know. Dude's got some titty going on. Not that he doesn't have a bad physique. His arms look maybe 17 and a half. He's got a little bit of size to him. He's got a little bit of a size. Let's see. There could be a little bit of something going on. I wouldn't doubt it. I don't sure how the testing goes. Could be a little bit of a HGH. He looks like a thunder child a little bit, if you know what I'm saying. Who knows? I mean, it would be a coin flip. Let's put it that way. Jeremy, ever read Anthony DeTilla articles? I think I have. I have every book, every thing on everything. I'm big on history. I've probably read every book and every article and everything Anthony DeTillo's done and Paul Anderson's done and you name it. So, yeah, absolutely. I want to see if I ever wrote an Anthony DeTillo article. I don't think so. Yeah, Desdoban is a great website. It is literally like an encyclopedia of lifting. I'm so paranoid about that site going down that I almost want to steal all the articles and keep them on my computer. So, yeah, it's a really good website. How do you avoid stretch marks? You don't. You simply don't. They're part and parcel of gaining size in your shoulders and in some cases other areas. You just don't. I have them. In about a year of training when I was young, they came. They never go. There's nothing you can do, and it's a rite of passage. Let's put it that way. Vinny, new to the channel. Thanks, Vinny. Appreciate you joining an ugly old man, digging the information. Forgive the ignorance, but you have training programs to purchase. Vinny, I have a lot of free stuff, and I have a lot of stuff on my website. And I'm just going to post this up so you guys can see. I try not to over-pimp this stuff. But I have coaching, $80 a month. If any of you guys are interested, I'm with my clients every single day. I do custom workouts, form checks. We do nutrition, everything. And I try to be less than everybody on the in the coaching circuit because I like what I do and it's an honor to help you guys. And I'd rather do 70 clients, at $80 a month than try to do 20 at $199 or something ridiculous. So I have templates. Some of my workouts are in basic templates, AB, power muscle block, whatever. And my workouts tab, I have a bunch of different stuff for all different experience levels and, so on and so forth. Not a lot of stuff for, more advanced lifters. For them, I usually like to do custom programs or work with them in coaching. But I got some fun stuff, the 16-week bench press PDF, different styles of training, so I got a lot of stuff available there. If you go over to the store tab, I have some courses, the bulldozer training course and the power muscle block course. And the bench press course has like 15 different bench press type of workouts. So a lot of good information in the courses. I also have books. Massive Iron is kind of something I wrote 6-7 years ago. I have it in ebook and hardcover format, and it's a good base building book. It's got about 20 workouts for the beginning lifter. Muscle and Brawn Archives. Back in the day, I ran muscleandbrawn.com. And this has just got a ton of stuff in it, a ton of stuff. Russian squat programs, German volume training, everything you could need. Just a comprehensive book on a bunch of really cool articles. So I got a ton of stuff in it. So if you need something a little bit more specific, like for my clients that do powerlifting, obviously I don't refer them to this type of stuff. I put them on very specific type of workouts. I do peaking programs for my clients, that sort of thing. So I believe in the store, is it under workout tabs? I believe I even have the peaking program in there somewhere. Where's the peak? Oh, it's in here somewhere. I got too much shit up in here. I'll have to find it. There's a peaking program in there. So thanks for stopping by, Vinny. I'm unable to get to the 75-pound dumbbells from my thighs up to the shoulders for the shoulder press. This is a common problem, and when I'm coaching people, it's something I ask about a lot. How are things going? It can be difficult to clean up 2 dumbbells at the same time. You're going to reach a tipping point where you might be able to clean up 2 70s at the same time, and then you can't do 2 75s. I got to the point where I was doing, 110s, 120s for 3 sets of 10. It was literally harder to clean up 2 sets of dumbbells than it was to actually do the set. So being a dipshit, I tried to do that for a couple of years, risking bicep tears. And what I've come to find out, or the conclusion I finally came to, like a thick blockhead, is to do them one arm at a time. Lift one arm up, do one arm dumbbell overhead press to set it down, then do the other. It's just a lot easier. Is overtraining overrated for most? When you eventually adapt, it's almost impossible to overtrain. Most people undertrain. Most people are underperform when it comes to consistency. Overtraining is not an issue. A bigger issue is overworking movement patterns. If you're training hard, it's going to be hard to train hard and overtrain at the same time. Nigel, hope you have a great weekend. Thank you. Heading to the lake for fishing and relaxing. That sounds great. I haven't had a vacation in a year and a half, man. I am really looking forward to a vacation. Since COVID hit, I've been diving into this and really busting my ass, so it'll be almost 2 years before I have a serious vacation. Working every weekend, grinding away. Disney Plus will have Black Widow for free in October. It's actually free in October. Yeah, that's good to know. But anybody that's interested, they have it for $29.99 starting today. What's your favorite Marvel film, Richard? This is a good question, and it was a film that hit me out of nowhere when I watched it. Okay, so I love most of the Marvel films. There are some of them that you can live without. But when I watched Doctor Strange, I absolutely just loved the feel and the flavor of the movie. And I'm like, I wish there was a sequel right now to watch. So I would say Doctor Strange was probably my favorite. I'm sorry to keep grabbing my nose. I got an itch up there. Do a quick check. Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange was my favorite. The Avengers, it's like cocaine overload, right? It's fun. Iron Man is Iron Man. It's classic. Captain America, I can live without. Spider-Man, there's too many guys doing Spider-Man. I just kind of get lost, and sometimes I feel like on Spider-Man the villains are almost too cartoonish. I mean, part of what I loved about Spider-Man was he was kind of, younger and more whimsical, if you can use such a weird word for Spider-Man. And then the villains were more intense. But sometimes I feel like the villains in the Spider-Man movies are like, I stay light on my deadlifts, trying to get technique down. How will this normally take? You got to work on technique while pushing yourself. because it's really easy to maintain good technique while not pushing yourself. So I'm not a fan of holding steady, waiting for the perfect day for your deadlift, for angels to pop out of glowing clouds. And I'm not putting you down, Robert. I'm just saying that's not the way I like things to work. You wait for the perfect day, the perfect form, and then you're going to start lifting and you realize your form is going to break down. So I like to work on them at the same time. Thank you, Vinny. I appreciate it. I have a history of lower back issues, so I'm nervous about going heavy on trap bar. Trap bar is a very forgiving exercise compared to straight bar. But if you have lower back issues, then you don't need to do a deadlift at all. Barbell bench and pec tears can be pretty common, especially with super heavy lifters. Fan of lesser known mid 80s bands, Living Death, Mad Busher, Warrant. How did you bring out? You had to bring out Warrant. Oh my God. Not a fan of Warrant. Man, I got out of high school in 86. And I was the guy in high school in 84 and 85 that was playing Dungeons and Dragons and video games and liking comic books and wearing the Slayer and Metallica t-shirts and Exodus t-shirts and Corrosion of Conformity and DRI and, man, that's the stuff I was into, Minutemen and, all that kind of stuff. And back then I was the nerd and the dipshit and the fool and the idiot. Then I woke up one day and everyone's into video games, everyone's into comics, everyone's into metal, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of real obscure 80s bands that I liked. Let's look at top 80 hardcore metal bands, and I'll tell you, Snow White, Halloween. Oh man, I could go on forever. I had an album collection that would, let's see, obviously Accept's one of the top ones. Armored Saint. I'm just looking through the list here. Well, we might as well share it so you guys can look too. Maybe you guys will see something sexy. What do we got here? Bang Tango. Forget that crap. Let's see. Bon Jovi. I'll pass on that. Brittany Fox. I want some hardcore metal, not all this shit music. There's too much crap. I put in hardcore metal. Here we go. Of the 80s. Let's see. Exodus, Anthrax, Crater. I was a big into Crater, Slayer, Metallica, obviously. Testament, definitely. Death Angel, absolutely. I love Death Angel. Voivod, I listened to. I was never a big Megadeth fan. Destruction, Nuclear Assault albums, Overkill albums, Dark Angel. Wasn't a big Sepultura fan. Don't hate me. I had Metal Church. Flotsam and Jetsam was okay. Let's see. I had a Sacred Reich album. Not a big fan. Snow White. There we go. That's a rare. I had the Snow White album. Let's see. SOD. Loved SOD. And let's see. What else do we got here? A little bit more obscure stuff. Power Mad, I think I had their album. A little bit more. Rigor Mortis, I had Rigor Mortis's album. That's Suicidal Tendencies, I had theirs. Cro Mags. There's a lot of stuff I didn't have. That's about it, man. I had a lot of stuff, but I was just a poor kid, so I didn't have a lot of albums, but those are some of the ones I listened to. I think my bench program is dumb. I think my bench program is dumb arms. The side with the more developed pec does more. Well, I'd be happy to look at your form, Sebastian, if you ever want to send it to me. I do 4-day upper-lower training split. Would you recommend a mix of compounds, isolations, and body weight? Absolutely, Daniel. A good program is going to have compounds, maybe 1 or 2 compounds per body part, and this is over the course of a week. Then you're going to work down to machines, isolation, body weight, that sort of thing. No German warrant, LOL. How long did it take you to learn guitar? Enjoyed your videos. Actually, the music leading into this was from like 1989, just crap that I record on guitar. I took guitar lessons in high school, and they're like, you're playing Black Sabbath, and you're like, it bored the hell out of me. And then they're like, pick a song you want to learn to play, and we'll do all the chords, and you got to do this and this. And I started about 1988. I started hanging out with a bunch of musicians, and I learned power chords, and I just started playing on my own, and I got pretty darn good. And then I got into Metallica and Slayer, and the heavy riffing and the power riffing and stuff like that. So I'm not a great guitarist at all. A lot of the chords I use on my albums, and I've been in the studio, I think like 8 to 10 times in the last 5 years. A lot of the chords I use on my albums aren't conventional chords. They're just things and phrasings and different variations that I like. So I'd take an A chord and modify it. And I don't think there's very many conventional chords on my album, even though the music's pretty straightforward. Where are we at? Come on, man. Anthrax, Exodus, Nuclear Assault, Testament, Overkill. Yep, the whole lineup. Biohazard. I don't think I listened to Biohazard. Heathen. Don't know about Heathen. Victims of Deception was amazing. I'll check that out after we... the Jim Jones intro on Hypnotize gets me going every time. All right, guys, last call. I'm about to jump off. This is the last question, so if you have anything, hop on and post it now. What's a decent incline barbell bench to flat bench ratio? I don't know. I mean, when you're looking at barbell bench compared to overhead press, it's about 70%-ish. So I would say 80% is pretty realistic. All right, guys, we're all done. Hour and 20 minutes. I appreciate your comments. Tune in next week. Please tune in next week, Friday at 11 Eastern. I appreciate you guys subscribing to my channel. And if I missed your questions, head over to Instagram at BenTheBarman, and post them up. I try to answer every question. I fall behind sometimes because I get a lot of questions, but I appreciate it. And head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. Get you some cheap-ass T-shirts, some cheap-ass workouts. Support the big, hairy, ugly dude. All right, thank you, guys. I'll talk to you next time.